since baby Donald Trump took a little hissy pissy fit and insisted that Canada AI, that Reagan voice, he never said that about tariffs. I'm gonna sue Canada for lying. Whatever. That's about what he sounds like in my head by now. But this here, this here's a little reminder of indeed Reagan said. And I used to be like, I was a little bit not really in favor of Reagan, but compared to what we've had from the Republican Party, my God, I would take Reagan. Oh my God, I would take him. Here.
From any corner of the earth can come to live in America and become an American. This, I believe, is one of the most important sources of America's greatness. We lead the world because, unique among nations, we draw our people, our strength, from every country and every corner of the world. And by doing so, we continuously renew and enrich our nation. Thanks to each wave of new arrivals to this land of opportunity, we're a nation forever young, forever bursting with energy and new ideas, and always on the cutting edge, always leading the world to the next frontier. This quality is vital to our future as a nation. If we ever closed the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost.
Now, I want to remind people that remember what it was like in politics before 2016. And I want to tell those who maybe weren't a voting age before Trump was in politics. Did you hear anybody heckling him? Did you? No. There was respect. There was decorum. There was disagreements. But we all agreed what the Constitution said. We all agreed what the Founding Fathers intended. We may have disagreed on how to get to certain points, but it was not people being called radical left-wing lunatics and just because we want to continue to uphold the Constitution. So if you didn't really know anything about politics before Trump got into the scene, let me know. Let me know, because I can show you, I can send you to where to find some of those facts that he's lying about, some of the real truths of stuff, and what other Republicans were like, what other Republicans, is at least to give you something to look at, what other Republican politicians prior to 2015, what it was like. We didn't have people like Boebert and Green heckling State of the Union addresses. They didn't come in party merch gear. They were respectful to each other. They might have done some mudslinging, kind of like putting a twist on the truth, not completely lying, but not make it look so good. That was like horrible to do. Oh man, I don't believe they went and did that. Hit below the belt. Donald's not even hitting below the belt. He's stripping the belt off and beating us with it while he's raping our children. And protecting those who rape children. So, if you never really had anything, even concept of what it was like in politics before 2015, I'd like to know, because this is something that a lot of us are talking about. Why are the younger generation so fixated on just the appearance and the charm and the magnet when we're showing them what he did the first time? We're showing them the January 6th. And some people have said, well, they've got young people that are in that Gen Z or younger, or the millennials, and a lot of them are saying, we did not learn it in school. They were already at that point starting to fuck with, even in this Reagan, they were starting to diminish the education. And I personally think that had something to do with, it wasn't all that long ago and far away with being against the Japanese and all that. And, the Chinese and the Japanese, just Asian in general, were always known for being very studious. And that was the main objective when you were growing up. And I think it was in a way, because of all that happened between the wars, that maybe it was a way for Americans to kind of be like, F you or something. I don't know. Because I was born in 1963, in time to be in school, but be aware of seeing the hippies and how they protested with love and flower power. And if you don't know the flower power, what that was, you may have seen, may not, go look for iconic pictures. They would take daisies usually, but any flower. And they, like, how the guard is standing, like, just on standby, kind of, like when stuff was like that happening, and they were rounding up Japanese, whatever, in the different wars. But they would put a flower into each rifle barrel. In other words, that was the power of flowers. Love over war. Make love, not war. That was that whole thing. And people protested the Afghan and all that stuff, Iraq and things like that, but not major protests like the Vietnam. And so a lot of our people, even the ones in the 40s, really aren't all that aware, or they weren't taught it in school already. I'm like, really? That's just 20 years after me? And I learned about that stuff enough that I remember without a lot of the shit as I was looking into it further as I got older. And yeah, I'm just curious. So let me know if you've watched all of this or listened to it all. I mean, what's your age or your generation? And I mean, did you learn about that stuff? Or did you see what politics was like before Donald Trump got into it and the Republican Party turned into a freaking cult? It was cult based on personality that he then enveloped the religion, well, specifically Christianity, into, which is the Christian National. Yeah. They started weaving that in a long time ago. And the only weave, other than the one in his head, is how they were weaving the Christian religion even more so into tentacles, into where it shouldn't be to begin with. This generation right here, Reagan, is when that started. So for that, Reagan, that's when it started, allowing them to make donations and shit to parties or candidates, and that was the slippery slope we're in now. That people can win it because they can give unfettered amounts, and even religion, even they couldn't do it. So yeah, not good. But I do want to know what your generation is if you didn't know a lot of this shit until we started to say, have you ever seen politics before Donald was involved? Because it was civil. There was some hostility sometimes, but Good Lord, nothing like this shit. For real, people. And if that is the only politics you've seen, please let me know, because I will steer you into where to see at least they could work together, because they were civil. They didn't interrupt each other. They didn't lie outright on the floor when you're showing on the big projector or the big screen. You're showing them proof, and they're going, no. Fake news. AI. They didn't have those, AI time. But they could have said, oh, somebody manipulated that. They did shit like that. It was a lot more difficult, more complex, I believe. But, yeah. So, we're trying to figure out how to get through to the young males, because they all seem to be sucked down that rabbit hole pipeline from the right, and they just click on one thing that's geared towards young males, especially young white males, and then they keep getting fed by the algorithms all this crap, especially if they're on Twitter X. And they just fall right in, and they get and they're like auto subscribed to shit, and then they're just on the rabbit hole to hell. And nobody's there to put on any emergency brakes. So, yeah. Anyway, peace out.